This is TWiT.
Open letter to Australians. So you better explain this, because this is right up your alley, Jeff Jarvis. This is like Leistungsrecht. In Australia, it's in Australia. It's like Leistungsrecht, man. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
It's the News Media Bargaining Code, which is not yet law, but proposed. This is what Google says in their open letter. It will hurt how Australians use Google search and YouTube. The way Aussies search every day on Google is at risk from new regulation. The law would force us to give unfair advantage to one group of businesses, news media, over everyone else who has a website, YouTube channel, or small business. News media businesses alone would be given information that would help them artificially inflate their ranking over everyone else, even if someone else should provide a better result.
Yep.
The proposed changes are not fair, says Google, and they mean Google search results in YouTube will be worse for you. Under this law, Google has to tell news media how they can gain access to data about your use of our products. There's no way of knowing if any data handed over would be protected or how it might be used by news media. We deeply believe in the importance of news to society. We partner closely with Australian news media. We already pay them millions of dollars and send them billions of free clicks every year. We've offered to pay more to license content, but rather than encouraging these types of partnerships, the law is set up to give big media companies special treatment and to encourage them to make enormous and unreasonable demands that would put our free services at risk. The law wouldn't
That's a threat.
Oh. That would put our free services
Would
that
at risk.
Google start charging, or would Google pull out?
Well, one report is that they would start charging Australians for services. That's one report. Or in Spain, they pulled out Google News.
They pulled out.
They can do either.
Yep. So here's the response from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, mate. I can't do it. I shouldn't do it. It's bad, and I apologize.
It's not quite the ACC I'm used to, but close.
ACCC. An open letter published. What does ACC stand for in your world?
Atlantic Coast Conference.
Of course.
Home of the defending Atlantic Coast Conference champion Clemson Tigers.
I had to give him an opportunity to do that, folks. You understand.
It's in his contract, I know.
Why? What does ACC stand for, man? An open letter published by Google.
He's the only real man hereabouts. Yes.
Oh, it's football. I understand that. Hand egg, we call it. The open letter published by Google today contains misinformation about the draft News Media Bargaining Code, which the ACCC would like to address. Google will not be required.
Oh, you see this? What? Oh.
You won't be required to charge Australians for use of its free services like search and YouTube, unless you choose to do so. Google will not be required to share any additional data with Australian news businesses unless it chooses to do so. The draft code will allow Australian news to negotiate for fair payments for their journalists' work that's included in Google services. It's Snippets all over again.
Yes. Oh, it is. It is. You
Before?
ready? It is the Leistungsrecht.
So the
We
point
can do that to reggae if you like, folks.
the point that bothers publishers is that little paragraph that's under the news search results that is from the article. And their concern is that you read that, you got the answer, the answer you need. In fact, a lot of people say this. I get the answer I need from Google. I don't need to click that link. Google's basically stealing traffic.
They're not really saying that. What they're really saying is we're trying to find an excuse to try to force Google to pay us.
Is it not fair, though, to say that Google might be stealing some traffic with the snippets?
Okay, that's a case of proving a negative. That presumes that everyone was going to go to every article that crossed their paths had they not seen the Google snippet. In fact, it's the opposite. With the snippet, what I found in the research that I did long ago, but the longer the snippet, the more traffic that went. Well, because you got a better sample of the article, and you had more cause to want to go actually read the article. So the short snippets are, it's proving a negative, saying that had they not seen the snippet, they would have gone to that article? No, there's no way to say that. And, are there some pieces of information I get on Google? Sure. What's the Dow Jones? Yeah, I don't need to go to the Wall Street Journal to find out what the Dow Jones average is right now. No, and that's fine. And it's public information, and it's Google's right to do that. And yes, the Wall Street Journal might lose some clicks there, but they're dumb clicks. They're commodity clicks.
So I'm looking at.
I didn't work. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I never worked for like the Wall Street Journal or anything like that. But when you look at content management systems, there's usually some type of configuration as far as how your slugs and things like that will display in search, right?
Bingo.
Regardless
exactly,
of the content management
you are in
system.
Control of the snippet you put in. Right. When I put a Medium post up, it says change your. That's become common. And you.
That's interesting. So Google's does Google always honor that?
Well, I think in the case of news, they do.
So I'm looking, and I actually don't see any snippets here. I'm on Google's News. So is it only on Google Search, not Google News, that these snippets appear?
Good
well,
question.
if I go to Google and search for Google, Google will think I'm very stupid to do that.
I don't think Google judges you.
Let me hear. Okay, here's an example.
Oh,
here's an example. I searched for California fires and then clicked the news tab.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
here
that's right.
I'm seeing a paragraph. California fires live update. Fast-moving fires. This is the snippet are
So now
spreading
click
across
on that.
California. In the
See what it
north,
says at the Times.
wind-whipped flames force people to flee. Nice alliteration. In the north, wind-whipped flames forced people to flee their homes near Vacaville. So now you're saying I should click. By the way,
Click on that.
That didn't mean I didn't want to read that story. That was just more information about what that story covers.
Exactamundo.
All right, so I don't think that would hurt the click. And it was in fact this.
It was in fact the
subhead.
Yeah.
Yep.
But go to another one. Let's try this.
And again, that just
lot of them
sounds
are
like
formatting.
perfectly crafting the content management part of it.
Now
you
here's
know?
one with an ellipsis, which means
That's
it
right.
might not have been intentional. This is CNN's story. Wildfires raced toward populated areas of Northern California's wine country. That's where we're going tonight. Early today, forcing some residents to evacuate. Follow here for ... Do you think they did that on purpose?
That might be intentional because they want you to finish reading the sentence. Yes.
Yeah, they said
They might
follow
do that.
here for...
And then there's some people that would say that was enough for me to read and
look,
move on.
Here's that snippet. That's interesting.
But follow here for is new. That's not.
new.
That was
so I think
put that in there.
This was the content management system, and then they added better.
That's quite right.
Better would be something like, and you won't believe what happened next.
Of course,
I'm just saying.
It's only on Facebook.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, none of these snippets give me enough information to say, "Oh, good."
Exactly.
I don't have to.
Yeah, so they don't care about the snippet. They want an excuse to say, "Google, you took our money," as if God gave them that money. This entire thing, this entire thing, is Rupert Murdoch. And that's all you need to know, folks, because that's the man who's ruined democracy in the English-speaking world. But I'll leave that aside. The equivalent in Germany is a company called Axel Springer, headed by a man named Matthias Döpfner. And in Germany, they started the fight that led to the Leistungsschutzrecht. Don't you love this? And Murdoch has been his ally from the beginning, going after Google. And the funny thing is that Murdoch and Springer both tweak Google by making friends with Facebook and Zuckerberg. And Zuckerberg they have wrapped around their little fingers. So Zuckerberg is indeed paying for content. So what's happened now is Google gets stuck in a bad position. So Google, by all reports, is going to pay publishers for content starting in Germany because that's the squeakiest wheels. So Murdoch is coming along in Australia and saying, pay us. Now, pay us for what? For the privilege of linking to you, for sending you traffic, for sending you customers, for sending you people? No, you owe us, Roop. But no, Google was foolish from the beginning by not setting that precedent. And by saying you can't pay, and the reason they were not foolish is wrong. Google said you can't pay for search presence. So if Google had charged people, they would have been selling search presence. And Google made an ethical decision not to do that. Unlike early Yahoo, which did do that in the original model. Google said, no, that would be a bad service to the public. That would be unethical of us. We're not going to charge for that. So the economics became all skewed. And even though Google was sending value to the publishers are saying, you stole the soul when you took my picture.